Ridge, my name is Chris Turner. I'm a United States Marine. I was a 2512 field wireman. I went to boot camp at Parris Island, and I'm not a combat Marine, and I'm not going to try to pretend that I am, but I did do field wire, and I was deployed to Okinawa, Japan, and I did some time in Korea. And it's just a great thing to be able to be considered a veteran in what we did for the country. And, 9/11 happened, and then my unit got deployed, and I've lost some people through that. So about 3 years ago, I was introduced to a guy named Bob Waldrop. Bob Waldrop is the founder of a 501c3 nonprofit called Crosswinds Foundation. And in that foundation is a division called Warriors on Mission. And what Warriors on Mission does is they've developed a curriculum called the Hope Curriculum, the Warrior Hope Curriculum, that talks about healing, opportunity, peace, and empowerment for veterans. The great thing about the Hope Curriculum is it's vets helping vets. So what we do is we train leaders inside of VFWs, American Legions, or veteran organizations to where they can actually start something called a Center of Hope, and these leaders can train the veterans inside of the VFW establishments to where they can get treatment for PTSD and moral injury. And the great thing about Bob is Bob's an ordained minister, so the curriculum is based off spiritual guidance. So it's a great curriculum and something great to be a part of. So the great thing about me joining Warriors on Mission and partnering with Bob Waldrop, I'm personally really invested in this mission.
Episode number 11. This is the final one on Disentangled. Warriors, Hope, Faith, all based on this book, the 6-lesson Bible study about overcoming the hurts of the past, moving into your next mission, all based on scripture for veterans, for warriors, drawing in some stories that you know well, maybe through a new grid, helping make some analogies that you understand about the oath, about purpose, about overcoming hurts of the past, stepping into a next new role that serves others, all of that. This is the final takeaway. Now, before I go forward, I want to kind of draw back to the clip that I just played for you. That is Chris Turner. Chris is the featured Nashville singer, songwriter, musician on the Freedom Tour. And he helps a lot when we're doing these live training events. In fact, if you've been to a live training event and you've seen Bob Waldrop or myself speak, and you're there and all of a sudden a musician gets up, here's what's incredible about it. I've never had anybody while I'm teaching pull out a cell phone and go, let me just record that. That's the best thing that I've heard or seen all week. Yet every time that we invite Chris up and he starts talking a little bit about a story and then sharing a song that he's written, processing the past, moving towards a new mission, walking out a healing process and a purpose with passion, out come the phones, out come the pictures, and it's incredible the connections that he's able to make. And so I wanted to highlight him here at the beginning, in part because we like him and he's a member of our team, but also he's really found a new mission in his life. He's a Marine, is a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine, right? He's found a mission that was built upon the platform of past pain. Okay, now how do I serve other people from here to find healing? And he's very honest. He'll tell you, hey, yeah, some of the stuff I'm still walking out myself, but I don't have to have it 100% resolved in order to live a life of purpose. I don't have to have it once and done in order to move forward into the mission. In fact, what you might find out is healing isn't so much just a destination that you arrive at. It's a process of arriving. It is a ongoing, consistent, constant journey. And so I wanted to include him here. In this episode, I'm going to take you to the final bits of Disentangled. Grab your book down below, and you can get the book, you can get the screen share, you can get the course, the videos, everything that goes with it, the audio book, all available for you. I'm going to take you to the end where we actually talk about how do you find a mission. In the military, it was easy. Not necessarily easy to do, but they assigned you a mission. This is what you're doing. But now, in light of your past training, in light of the present opportunities that are around you, in light of the circumstances in which you find yourself, the people that are around you, how do you now identify the next mission? And so we're going to dialogue about that. And then at the end of this episode, kind of as we leave this season, and then head into the next one where I've got some interviews with some incredible people that we accumulated over the last 6, 7, 8 months that we've been editing and working together to fit through a narrative and a story. I'm going to play one of my favorite videos from the Songs of Hope. Now, this was from the first event that we ever did, where Colonel Reitzel, who was in our film Honoring the Code, and Dan DeMay, who is also a veteran, they are matched together. We matched the veteran with the songwriter. Veteran tells a story, the songwriter, puts that story to music, and then we play the film that we create from our phones to introduce the song at a fundraiser to collect money to serve veteran causes. These two men found out they had served in very similar areas, and they just instantly hit it off. And both of these men, they're not in their 40s, they're not in their 50s, they're older, and they came to the conclusion, the song was I'm Still Here. And they came to the conclusion there were a lot of people that didn't survive the things that they survived. And if you're still here, you're here for a reason. There is still work for you to do. There is still a mission set out before you. And so, words that are so true, I want to leave off with them after you hear the conclusion of the lesson 6 from Disentangled.
So put it together. Let's just review it. Top of page 143. The Great Commission, it is derived from authority, the authority of Jesus. The mission involves sending. He doesn't just call us to study, but to send us. Number 3, it has specific objectives of making disciples, of replicating what's been given to us, passing that on to other people. Number 4, of developing and extending leadership, the things that we've learned, we make disciples and pass on to others who will pass on to others who will pass on to others, and empowering them through, number 5, the end of time, because this mission is ongoing. This leads us to the question that we ask at the beginning of page 143. Are you on mission? Is there a purpose greater than yourself that you currently serve? In one of our films, veteran John McCarty, Vietnam veteran, he said this: part of survival, part of an essential path of moving forward is having something to do. Part of survival is having something to do. He was speaking of the importance of having a mission. A mission provides value to others, but it also helps you. Again, being in the military likely awakened the honor it is and how we're all created to serve a purpose larger than ourselves. Notably, McCarty didn't discover a new concept here, but something God placed within man from the very beginning. Even before the fall, humans had something to do, as he says here. If you look in Genesis 2:15, at the bottom of page 143 in your book, Adam was put by God, placed there specifically to steward, to tend creation, to make it better, to elevate it. He had, before the fall, work, purpose, adding value, something to do. When J.T. Cooper, also featured in our films, got out of the military, he said, one of the first things that I struggled with when I got out of the Army was, what's my purpose? What's my mission? Maybe you can relate to that. He says, in the military, they teach you to give your life for the mission. So what's my mission worth dying for now? Maybe in some sense you can relate to that. Sergeant Major James Joyce, he said this. He said, warrior training is absolutely unique. You take a young man or a young woman from civilian life, you put them into that position. You're kind of, this is a great phrase, you're kind of programming that young individual into the military way of life. Like you're placing on them this idea that they are to serve a purpose greater than themselves. It's not only something to do, it's a way of life. In a lot of cases, you never let that lifestyle go, even after you retire. Maybe you've sensed that disconnection. Maybe you've sensed that I used to have something to do, I don't now. Let me ask you the question, what is your something to do now that you're not serving in the military? We have a place for you to write this on page 144 down at the bottom of the page. What is that something that you feel called for? The tension might be that sometimes there's not a straight line from military service to dictate how you would apply this in the civilian world. You might not can look at it and go, well, I was this in the military, that means I'm that in civilian life. Washington Booker, we referred to him earlier in this manual. He said something like this, and when we were interviewing him for Invisible Scars, when I returned home, there was no need for a trained sniper in the civilian world. In reality, there's not a direct correlation sometimes between military service and civilian roles. But I would ask you this: was Booker just a sniper, or did he have more to offer? As Sergeant Major Joyce says, that you take a young individual and you give them a lifestyle of purpose, a lifestyle, some kind of programming for something greater. Was he just a sniper, or were there other things that he brought to the table? Things like discipline, camaraderie, the ability to endure. In fact, I would remind you of this, regardless of past experience, you have great value to God and your training is still useful. You might have to get creative in figuring out, how do I apply this? How do I use this? But we remind you in the book, if you go to page 146, to do several things. In the book, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 different, and then we're going to move into moving forward for the fourth observation. Number 1, remember your training. Remember your training, and that it has broad applications. The military taught you discipline, perseverance, teamwork, other things. All of these are incredibly valuable in civilian life. So maybe just a question at the top of page 147, you can answer this. The question's asked at the bottom of page 146. How did your military training develop discipline in you, or perseverance and teamwork? And why are these important to not just a military mission, but to any mission, anywhere, doing anything of value? The next observation is this. It's number 2, to recognize the opportunities. The opportunities are plentiful. For sure, trauma can blur one's vision and obscure the mission opportunities that are around you. But look around. The traits that were instilled in you as part of your training are invaluable. Anywhere you see people, you find needs. So, just to be clear, a hindrance to being on mission is thinking you aren't needed or that there's no place to serve. The reality is there are multiple places you can serve. The problem here is when you believe you have to do it on your own. Remember, the mission should be done in community, even as it was done in the military. Serving with others helps you keep going when it gets hard. Sometimes serving with others helps even highlight, to bring up the need, because others are aware of needs that you might not even notice. Mark 6:7, notice the way Jesus sent out the 12. Jesus summoned the 12. He began to send them out in pairs and gave them authority as a unit, as he sent them out. We believe that mission is found in and with community. Jesus always sent his disciples out with others. And moreover, he didn't just send them out with other people, they went to serve other people. Now, if I ask you this, is there a lack of need in the world today? Is there a lack of people needing help? You would say, no, of course not. Acts 13:2-3, this is a great story. It's another instance in which the mission is found in community. While they were ministering to the Lord and fasting, the Holy Spirit said, I love that verse because it clearly highlights that you and I can hear the voice of God. And right now, the Lord might be impressing something upon you to do, to serve others. You can hear his voice. John 10:10, Jesus said, my sheep know me. They clearly hear my voice. You can hear the voice of God. The Holy Spirit said to them, set apart for me Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I've called them. Then, when they fasted and prayed, and the group laid their hands on them, they sent them away. Observation: there were no solo missions in the military, and you shouldn't have to be alone in Christendom. It's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to quit when you're alone. Keep going, and keep going in community. Observation number 3, it's on page 148 in the middle of the page. Realize that serving is not optional. All of us are called to serve. We're all called to be on mission. We all have a purpose. And I really think that service is both commanded by Jesus. We've seen that. And it is part of your healing process. Remember that John McCarty quote, part of survival is having something to do, something significant that makes a difference. And notice this is even the model of Jesus. Mark 10:45, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. He came to give his life, give of who he was. Ultimately, he would lay down his complete life. We, in effect, join him in what he is doing. We see a similar verse, Luke 22:27. I'm among you, but I'm among you as the one who serves. And then in John 13:14-15, if I then, the Lord and the teacher, washed your feet. So he served. He took the most menial service position in that culture, in that context, at the dinner there at the upper room, the Last Supper. You also ought to wash one another's feet. I gave you an example that you should do as I did for you. A question that we raise up in the book in the middle of page 149 is this: are you still looking for a mission? And if you are, think about it like this. What advice would you give to someone else who is looking for a mission? The answers you say might be, well, look and see the needs that are the obvious needs that are around you. Maybe there's something that you see and you just know, hey, this is a persistent need. Or think about what talents, what abilities, what past experience do you carry that's unique to you? I would say An important way to find your mission is by talking with others, seeing what needs they're aware of, and just by networking in those ways. You can write down some answers on page 149. Proverbs tells us this, that prepare plans by consultation, make war by guidance. This really highlights the importance of anytime you're going to give yourself and get involved in a mission. Now, here he's talking about something war by guidance, but also plans. It's not doing it on your own, it's using a group, wise counsel together, coming to help provide really a clear step-by-step path forward. Another proverb, 24:5-6, a wise man is strong, and a man of knowledge increases power, for by wise guidance you will wage war, and in an abundance of counselors there is victory. As you talk to others, you'll find there's numerous possibilities. Beginning on page 150 in the manual, we start walking through some of these. This graphic is included on page 153 in your book. But we start walking through these, talking about, looking at the top left, the family and friends. This seems like a natural place to start, but it's so often overlooked. One of the gentlemen, his name is Herb. We talk about him in the book. He was a retired Vietnam veteran who participated in the very first Center of Hope with the Warrior Hope curriculum. And during a meeting, I remember he was just for weeks telling us, yeah, I'm not really sure what my mission is. And then just all of a sudden one night, he says, you know what? My grandchildren will be my next mission. He began pouring his life right there into them. In doing so, he found a renewed sense of self-worth, a sense of purpose, of meaning. Since then, he is deceased. And I just think back over the past 5 years since that first time together with them, the invaluable gift that he gave to those grandchildren, getting to spend that time with this strong yet tender, experienced, kind man who went all in for them. Look at number 2, other warriors and veterans. It's a tremendous opportunity to help those in the veteran community who are dealing with a number of issues. It's especially true when you think about trauma related to PTSD and moral injury, which now you have some wisdom on because you've been through chapters 3 and chapter 4. It's estimated that at least 25% of those deployed in the Middle East will experience PTSD or moral injury. And most likely that number will increase as the group ages up and starts really reflecting and dealing with some of those past wounds, just as it did among those who served in Vietnam. It's currently stated that 22 veterans per day commit suicide. There is a massive need for what you carry and your capacity to comfort others with the comfort and consolation you've received. Look at number 3, veterans service providers. Other organizations such as the VFW or the American Legion Post, or you think about number 4, charitable and religious organizations. Churches are a great place to volunteer. I remember growing up in the youth group at my church, and one of our favorite leaders in the youth group was a World War II veteran that had been a prisoner of war. And in time, he shared some of his stories once or twice. The most significant thing I remember about him was just his presence and how powerful of a force this gentle giant was. Never underestimate what you could do in the lives of others. Charitable organizations, whether they're faith-based or not, they tend to be dependent upon a volunteer workforce. And even though their area of service might not be specific to veterans, as the number 3 is, they still provide an opportunity for people like you who work with teams, who are dependable, who are reliable, who have leadership skills to assist. Number 5, a center of hope, teaching the Warrior Hope curriculum, or teaching something like this Disentangled. You can lead people straight through it. And in fact, in the training of those resources, and we have training resources for all of those, we tell you multiple ways you can do it. You can teach a group with PowerPoint slides. We have people that do that. We have other people that have the video and they just press play and the group watches it and then they discuss. We have others that just get out the book and they talk through it together. There's no one size fits all. You can do this. And if you've not thought of these, you could find some other calls. There are essential needs that people have, and you have an excellent capacity to meet them. Whatever you do, our suggestion is just to acknowledge this, that your training still works. And as we say on page 154 at the bottom, in the same way that you entangled in military life, now it is time to untangle and re-entangle into something new. And if we can help you do that, we would love to hop on a phone call with you to give you resources to do that. I'm Andy Jenkins. I'm one of the co-authors of this material. It's been my joy, my honor to walk with you for this lesson and the previous 6. I'm signing off. There's some resources to, if you're on the desktop, it's going to be on one side of the module here. If you're on mobile, they're going to be way down stacked at the bottom. We would love to continue this conversation farther with you as you disentangle from the past, re-entangle into the next mission as you step forward. Grace and peace. I'll see you soon.
We just started talking to you. In fact, the first line is his. You didn't know it that today a soldier, a hero died today. Then I said, well, the evening news will never show it, but over 50,000 passed away. All the things that we learned to do in our military training and stuff is to survive the day, and live long enough to love, And so the missions that we've been on, did what we had to do.
To whoever we had to do it.
To whoever we had to do it. I missed Vietnam by 1 year. I was going in. And he was there. I fought my service with guys like this, And so we were a good match, I wasn't on the bombing of Gaddafi.
I was too.
We were in different places together, weren't we?
Yeah, I was in a boomer in the Gulf of Sidra.
Were you?
Yeah.
But we launched with 1 Airman First Class command and launched the 2nd largest air raid in the history since World War II.
Yeah. We moved on that, but we were inside Gaddafi's line.
Yeah.
And the big submarine.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do anything for that guy.
Well, I'm just trying not to make like the sand pit or the big
Right.
Whoever put their lives on the line, well, so were the others. But I'm still here. Why, I don't know. It's a day-to-day experience, but all I know is I gotta go. All that's left of me is to go.
Brother. Just because I made it home in my war they never said there'd be a hole inside me I can't fill. May not know why I survived, but one day I will.
You may not know it, but a hero died that day. The evening news never showed it. Over 50,000 have passed away. Some of them were friends of mine, other ones were brothers. They laid their lives on the line for each other.
I think
My
it's
day
great.
is come and gone.
Honored and privileged to be able to
They
put something
say
on
just
that.
because I made it home, my war is won. They never said there'd be a hole inside me I can't fill. I may not know why I survived, but one day I will, 'cause I'm still here, hanging tough. And every day I wake up, I'll fight to love. That's the only reason. Let me tell you that's enough, 'cause I'm still here, and I'll fight to love.
Tell me the name of the song again.
Fight to love.